Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to show you a brand new Eduard hybrid kit. It's the Avia S-199. Just very briefly, this airplane was built in about 450 pieces in Czechoslovakia between the years 1947 and 1949. This airplane was based on Messerschmitt Bf-109 version G, but with a replaced engine, propeller, and with some other modifications, mostly manufactured locally in Czechoslovakia. In 1948, 25 of these were sold to newly formed State of Israel, and it helped them quite a lot in the first Arab-Israeli war. First of all, let's talk about the box. This kit is in 48 scale, which is very suitable for hybrid manufacturing process. More about that in a minute. This particular box is one of 300 special kits which were sold yesterday on E-Day 2025, and it contains some additional part compared to boxes that will be soon released to market. The box itself is very light, and it contains just very few pieces and sprues, so the plane seems to be quite easy to assemble. We will be judged to that later on. Eduard plans to use this technology mainly for their new 48 and 32 scales. And as for the 72 scale, the details actually won't get any significantly better, so they are not planning to use it in the future. The hybrid technology means that the kit is basically consistent of two parts. 50% are plastic, classically made parts, and 50% are actually parts made by 3D printing from resin. So, fuselage, wings, and clear parts are actually manufactured in a classic way, while the entire cockpit, undercarriage, weapons, exhausts, and other small parts are actually made all by resin 3D printing, which saves a lot of time both for manufacturer in development and for the modeler while assembling the model. We'll get to details later. Okay, so let me show you the contents of the box. Here we go. In general, we can talk about the instructions as a first, and let's get to the details later. So as you can see, in instruction manual, there is very clearly stated which parts are plastic and which parts marked by blue are actually resin parts. Here you can see the list of all the parts that are already included in the box, which means you do not need to buy any additional detail up sets, because pretty much everything is already included in the kit, including the masks for painting the cockpit and wheels. And very good news from my point of view is that photo etch parts are actually not included at all, which means that Eduard is now trying to leave this technology behind and rather switch over to the resin printed parts, which from my point of view makes a lot of sense, because photo etch parts are actually quite a struggle, at least for me. As you can see, there are also a few changes in the assembly itself, because now the kit has very nice places where it fits together. So it's very, very simple to really properly put the fuselage together. Also, you can notice that basically the entire seat and major portion of a cockpit bay is already in one piece. That's exactly the example for 3D printed part. The same goes for the instrument panel, for the both sides of the cockpit, etc. Nothing much there. These parts are actually made from resin as well, so the wheelbase are very nicely printed. We'll see the details in a minute. One of the options how to build the model is either with the gun base or machine gun base open or closed. It depends on you. And here we can see the undercarriage parts, which are also 3D printed. Basically just two pieces to fit together, very nice details. I will show you later on. And in here is the rest of the manual. And there is one quite sad story, because if you look on the masks, you can notice that they are slightly distorted. This is because people were actually copy-pasting them from Eduard's website and printing them at home, so Eduard had to make some countermeasures. Now we will get to camouflages. There are basically 6 of them. 3 are for Israeli Air Forces and 3 are for Czechoslovakian Air Force. So let's see. Here are another ones. And this one is quite interesting. It's actually from a training wing in Czechoslovak Air Force. Okay. So much for the instructions manual, and let's check the plastic parts. These actually bring no huge surprise. This is the usual Eduard quality from the past, let's say, decade or even more. You can see the wings are actually very nicely riveted, so no additional work needed there. This is actually the first time I'm unpacking it, and it is a very significant plastic smell of a fresh plastic, the thing that we all modelers like so much, I think. Next part is the fuselage, the same, very nicely detailed and riveted. As you can see, there are no plastic overhangs, no ejector pin marks, and other nasty things. And the last part are actually details, including the propeller blade. Notice that the propeller blade is actually quite huge and was causing some significant issues with the airplane control. So it was nicknamed Mule, in Czech Mezek, because it was really stubborn and very hard to control smoothly. Okay, so much for the 3D printed parts. Now let's check the clear parts. This particular version of airplane is for so-called Erla canopy, which is the earlier version of canopy which originates in Messerschmitt, which is this one. But you also have a parts for different versions as well. So it's quite convenient. So if you decide to build a slightly different version, you just can use the parts already in the box. No additional purchase needed. Now, as for the decals, this is also the Eduard's classic of at least a decade ago. These are so-called peelable Eduards. Yeah, nice. So nothing surprising, nothing bad or terribly wrong in here. Also, you have a mask for both wheels and canopy. You just need to cut them out yourself, but they are actually, yes, actually they are pre-cut, so it's quite easy. And now creme de la creme. Here we are with the hybrid Brassin parts. They are very nicely and neatly packed, so they stay safe during the transportation. So let's take them all out and check them one by one. First of all, you can see these are actually the sides of the cockpit. Very nicely detailed, everything in there. So it will make the assembly of cockpit quite fast one, I would say. Next, you can see these are actually the undercarriage bays. Again, nicely built. And the majority of a cockpit, including the seat. Notice the seat belts that are already on the seat. So it's everything ready just for painting. No need to buy and assemble additional photo etched or different seat belts. This is actually quite interesting part. This is the undercarriage. And as you can see, excuse me, as you can see, the part of the undercarriage is actually built or painted from white resin. This one is the dental resin used for the dental replacement, so it's extremely tough and it's specially meant for tail wheels. Again, all the details, very nice. Absolutely spot on. Another part are the small parts. Let me open it carefully. Okay, just a bit of struggle with the gloves. Okay. Let's keep it in there. In general, you can still see quite nicely the details in there. Again, no distortion, nothing. So it looks very, very fine. And the last package contains exhausts, which are already nicely hollowed, so no drilling, nothing like that. And it also contains other parts of cockpit, as well as the cannons and antennas. So these were all the major parts of the kit. Let's talk a bit more about the hybrid technology from Eduard. As far as I understand, Eduard is actually really pushing in several directions. First one is to completely leave out photo etch parts sooner or later, which I absolutely agree. This is technology which is quite obsolete. The 3D printing is for Eduard much faster in a sense of preparing new kits, because they don't need to completely test and drive it and work with the sprues, with so many sprues. So it saves the time and allows them to provide actually more fresh new models every year, which is very good. Also for modelers, it means much more straightforward and faster assembly, also fine from my point. And also the kit is slightly more expensive, approximately 20 to 30% more than it would be when it will be just usual plastic. But on the other hand, you need to keep in mind that you have everything included. No need to buy additional stuff, additional kits. Of course, for future kits, maybe there will be additional engines or something like that. We don't know yet. So this is like Eduard's technical demonstration, and I would like to ask you for your opinions in the comments. Thanks a lot. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.